All right, I'm back again with the second edition of movies I've watched recently. Now, it really annoys me that in the first video I kept saying at the opening movies I have been watching, which is really weird and it's not idiomatic English at all. And I know that, but I just, for some reason, had like some brain problems at that point. So yeah, movies I watched recently. I have here again 30 or so movies that I watched in recent times. So let's get right into it. I watched or rewatched Perfect Blue by Satoshi Kon, one of the all-time great animation directors. And I actually saw this movie in a theater on the big screen for the first time, but I've seen it on Blu-ray or DVD. I don't remember. Probably 10 years ago at this point. So yeah, I remember surprisingly much about the movie, a lot about it actually. Yeah, but it's just a classic. If you're into animation and you haven't seen Perfect Blue, watch Perfect Blue. It's an all-time great. It's about this young woman who is in this pop idol group as a singer, and she leaves the group to become an actor. And this is about her struggles with herself. This is the there are three editions, I think, of this Blu-ray by all the anime. And this is the middle one. So there is just the standard one. Then there is this one with the hard slipcase and the art cards, and then there is the really expensive big collector's edition that I don't have, and I don't really need it. It has an art book, I think, so it would be cool to have it, but it costs hundreds and hundreds of euros, so no reason for me to really upgrade. I'm fine with this limited edition, this middle one. So yeah, the movie itself tells the story of this young woman who is struggling. Oh yeah, one more thing about the Blu-ray. Here, when there's the discs, there's nipples. Quick, let's hide them. That's disgusting. Let's hide that. Oh, that's awful. So yeah, Perfect Blue. It is a mind bender. It's only 120 minutes long, but I mean, it just flies by. It's so good. It is so well paced. Just a fast paced, entertaining movie. Has this constant. I can't get the freaking art cards back there. Oh, now I got it. Okay, yeah. It has this constant tension between real world happenings and this sort of. I don't want to spoil anything about the movie, but this sort of fantasy world that the woman is building around her, and this sort of you don't really know at any point whether what you're watching is real or not. If you watch it multiple times, you start to get a sense for it when what is happening is real and when it isn't. But it is just an immensely well built thriller, and has some really, really dark content in it, sexual violence, graphic murder, and everything. It is definitely not a kids animation movie, but yeah, it's by Satoshi Kon. He was died young, unfortunately. He was just a fantastic talent. Made Tokyo Godfathers and Paprika, and my favorite is Millennium Actress. The TV show is also really good that he did, Paranoia Agent. So Satoshi Kon definitely worth checking out for anyone who's into animation or just quality movies in general. Right, speaking of quality movies, again, this is another rewatch. I rewatched Space Jam, the original one, for the first time, like in decades. I saw this when I was really young, probably under 10 years old, and I remember loving it. Does it hold up now? Kind of, I guess. But oh yeah, I forgot. Perfect Blue, 10 out of 10. One of the greatest animation movies ever made. Right. So back to Space Jam. It is fun and it kind of holds up, but you can also see that it's just a silly kids movie as well. It doesn't really have much depth to it when you think about it, but it's just a fun movie. It's also in this style that, for example, there aren't that many movies that use this style, that this sort of combination of live action actors and this Looney Tunes style cartoon. It's the same kind of movie that, for example, Who Framed Roger Rabbit is, which for my money is a much better movie overall than this one. But anyway, where the animation is really impressive. It looks fantastic. It is so well executed. You can see here that this isn't necessarily as high quality as Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It does look a bit cheaper, but still, it's really, really impressive that they managed to pull it off. It's a sports movie. Michael Jordan in it. It's about basketball, mutants versus Looney Tunes characters playing basketball. It's like space mutants. It's just a fun kids movie. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. Maybe someone who has a lot more nostalgia for it than me would scoff at the low rating of a 7, but for me, that sounds pretty good. Now, some of the movies here I already talked a little bit in some of the collection update videos, but I thought I'd bring them back just because, why not? Because I have here maybe a bit more time to go into detail about these movies than I usually would go to in a collection update, because I just want to keep those kind of short and pretty quick. And these ones I'll just, let go on for as long as is needed. So the first one was maybe a bit too long for me. At 1 hour and 15 minutes, I would have liked it to be a bit shorter, but I don't really mind how long these videos are. Right, so I watched The Legend of the Seven Golden Vampires, which again I already discussed in one of the collection update videos. I was really disappointed by this movie. It's a Hammer horror / Shaw Brothers martial arts movie. So it sounds great. It has a great title. It has Peter Cushing in it, although that doesn't really matter too much because Peter Cushing can be in whatever garbage movie if he gets some money out of it. There are so many dozens and dozens and dozens of movies where Peter Cushing is in. He's always good, but the movies often around him are quite dull, and this is one of them, unfortunately. I had a hard time even staying awake when watching this movie. It was so dull. In between the fun horror bits and in between the fun martial arts bits, it just isn't very engaging, unfortunately. So it's basically Dracula with some Hong Kong people doing martial arts every once in a while. That's basically what this is. But yeah, I would give it maybe a strong 5, low 6 out of 10. Just kind of a throwaway movie. I don't know if I will ever rewatch it. Was quite disappointed by it. So yeah, that's basically everything that I already said in a collection update video, but whatever. Some people probably who didn't watch those are watching this, so double dipped there. Right, next up, I watched the entirety of the Troll complete collection. So this is by Eureka. A triple pack of two Troll movies and the documentary The Best Worst Movie. And I have to say, I really enjoyed this set. Now, most people know Troll 2 as becoming one of the so-called worst movies of all time. Spoilers, it's not one of the worst movies of all time. If you think Troll 2 is one of the worst movies of all time, oh boy, I have some sights to show you, my friend, because that is not even in the bottom 30 of the worst movies I've seen. There are some in this video that I would rate lower than than Troll 2. But yeah, the first Troll movie, positive surprise for me. I think it's just like a strong 6 out of 10 horror movie. It's from 1980 something, 1986. It's just a fun 1980s horror movie. Has some really fun puppetry, like special effects with puppets. There's a bunch of these weird troll characters and fairies and whatever critters from the woods that all have their own puppets in them that are done on screen with practical effects. It's really cool. It looks great. It's just a fun movie. It's just a fun 80s horror movie. If you're into 80s horror movies, you have to watch Troll at least once. It's really fun. It's about this sort of a apartment complex where there is this troll that has been kind of resurrected, and he goes around the apartment building killing all the tenants and then turning their rooms into these miniature like fantasy forest areas that look really nice. So yeah, I think the first Troll movie is quite fun. The second movie, on the other hand, is much worse. Yes, I would give it maybe like a medium 4 out of 10. It's not a good movie, but it's not awful either. It has really bad actors in it. It has really bad special effects. The trolls in the second movie are much worse looking than in the first one. In the second movie, they are basically just little people wearing bad costumes, and it looks awful. It looks like a 1990s black metal music video, with just people in robes running around in woods, filmed with low quality cameras. It's bad. It looks bad, but it has a charm to it. It's a really fun movie to watch. If a movie is fun to watch, it cannot be one of the worst movies of all time. The worst movies of all time are excruciating to get through. So I think that's a distinction that has to be made here. Troll 2, it's really bad. Everyone knows the classic line, "Oh my God," or whatever. They're eating her. You know that line. It's from this movie, and just a bunch of the story doesn't really make much sense. Which is, I mean, it's a troll movie. Does it really even have to make sense? I don't know. But yeah, there's this creepy dead grandpa whose apparition appears every once in a while and kind of materializes into the real world, and he's talking with this little kid, his grandson, and they are fighting against these trolls, this town full of trolls, and these people who are in cahoots with the trolls, and like they need food, so they lure people from outside the town into their town and then kind of feast on them. But they are also vegans, so they have to feed them with this kind of vegan goo and turn them into fucking human vegetables. I don't know. It's strange, but it's still a funny movie. And then the documentary. I wasn't originally even planning on watching it, but I'm glad that I did, because it gave me a new appreciation for the second movie. It is a fun documentary. You have the main actor, so the really buff father who's there in the middle. That guy, when the movie was made, Troll 2, he was already working as a dentist. He wasn't even an actor. He was just a dentist. And he's still a dentist, apparently. And he just wanted to act in a movie, and he starred in Troll 2. What a life. So yeah, I really like that. Also, the story of this guy here in the background, just an iconic character from the second movie. I had no idea that he was literally a mental institute patient that was recruited into the movie out of a mental hospital. That's crazy. And there are many interviews in the documentary with him, and he is bonkers. Like this documentary is like it. Half of the time it's really funny, and half of the time it's really sad, because many of the people involved with the movie are leading kind of miserable lives now. And the director himself, the Italian guy whose name I can't remember, does it say it here on the back somewhere? It was directed by an Italian man. Is it Drago Floyd? That's not his real name. that cannot be his real name. But he's really annoyed by people calling the Troll 2 a bad movie because he just doesn't agree with it. He thinks everyone is a moron who doesn't understand his masterpiece. That's kind of hilarious. Yeah. Also, maybe one thing to say more about Troll of the original, the first one, is that it's an Empire Pictures production. I didn't know that before I started watching it. Empire Pictures made some really fun movies in the 80s, so if a movie is done by Empire Pictures, it's probably worth checking out. They did like Robot Jocks and Arena and Cellar Dweller. There's the Arrow Films box set that has all of those movies. Dolls, like really fun movies. So yeah, it's no surprise that Troll 1 was also a fun horror movie. But yeah, I'd give it original Troll like a 6 out of 10. Troll 2, 4 out of 10. And then the documentary is like a basic 7 out of 10, 6 out of 10 maybe. Just good stuff. I wasn't expecting these movies to be as enjoyable as they were. I think a 6 out of 10 horror movie is definitely worth watching. Right. Some bad horror movies. I watched Ghost Ship. I'd never seen this before. A friend of mine wanted to watch this because they had seen it as a kid, and this was kind of a fond memory for them, I guess. And then we started watching this movie, and my friend just apologized to me for making me watch it. It's not very good. It was. I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, because this is a 2000s horror movie. This is from 2000 and what? 2. So usually these movies are horrendous, but this one had surprisingly many practical effects in it. It had some pretty impressive effects in it. It's a ghost ship movie. I always like, surprisingly, surprise from the title, I always like ships as a setting. Like stuff comes to mind like Resident Evil Revelations, the first one, the video game, really fun stuff. I've always liked these sort of massive cruiser ships or cargo ships as settings for movies and video games. It's an interesting, isolated location that has many possibilities. So yeah, but Ghost Ship, how good is it really? I don't know. It's whatever. It's a 2000s horror movie. It's very cliched and typical and generic. It also reminded me a lot of the video game Man of Medan, because the premise is kind of similar. This movie has a better story than Man of Medan, because this doesn't have mysterious poison gas in it. At least not to the same degree. I don't want to spoil anything about the movie, but yeah. Has some good actors in it. It has what is the name of this guy? This man. He's also in Louder Than Bombs and many other movies. What is the name of the actor? He's really good. Gabriel Byrne. Yeah, he's always good. He has this very, very cliched, I'm a 50-year-old dad with a wife and 2 daughters, and I use reading glasses whenever I can. I have them hanging off of my nose. That sort of guy. He's the perfect guy for that role. Always. He's always that guy. It's funny. Yeah. Ghost Ship. How would I rate it? Maybe a high 5 out of 10, low 6 out of 10. It's all right. It's definitely better than this. Another movie that the same friend made me watch, The Hole, and also a movie that the person apologized for while we were watching it. The Hole 3D. We didn't watch it in 3D. It's one of these gimmick movies that had some scenes in it that are obviously designed for 3D, but not really that many, and it's not impressive at all. So it's a horror movie. There's a hole in the ground, and there's weird monsters coming out of the hole. And these young kids opened the hole when it was sealed, and now they're trying to make it shut again. It's directed by Joe Dante, who is probably the most famous for Gremlins, which is just a fantastic 80s comedy horror movie. But yeah, Joe Dante did a lot of good work way back in the day. It's really sad to see him doing just crap like this. It's pretty bad. It's so generic and typical, cliched. Nothing really interesting going on. So yeah, I'd give this a low 4 out of 10. I think the whole 3D is worse than Troll 2. Although the whole 3D, it is a competently made movie, as opposed to Troll 2, which isn't, for the most part, a competently made movie. But Troll 2 is so much more fun and enjoyable to watch than this. Like, this is the prototypical throwaway 2000s horror movie that is completely forgettable. I don't really even remember much about it. I just remember that the little kids were, trying to figure out how to shut down the hole. I guess one of the kids got stuck in the hole at one point, and this sort of thing. Yeah, there was also a swimming pool with the typical swimming pool horror action. Someone gets pulled underwater and stuff like that. So yeah, that's the whole 3D. Maybe it's a low 5 out of 10. I don't know. Something like that. Who cares? It's not important. Numbers aren't really important. I just say them because I know that people want to hear the numbers. Right. A movie. Why is there so much crap in these stacks? Well, the second stack is much better in quality than the first one. I have so much crap here on this pile. Right. So, an American classic, Field of Dreams, starring Kevin Costner. Watch this. It's about ghost baseball. It's about Ray Liotta coming back from the ghost world to play baseball in Kevin Costner's baseball field. The movie, oh my god. I have no idea why Americans enjoy this movie as much as they do. I guess it's kind of has some kind of a childhood nostalgia for many people, with fathers and sons and daughters playing ball and throwing a baseball around, playing catch, whatever. Baseball is not played in here, like in Finland where I live. We don't play American style baseball at all, so I don't have any concept for the or any nostalgia for this sort of content. Also, the movie is really clumsily built. I remember watching this on TV maybe 15 to 20 years ago, and kind of remembering that, yeah, it's sort of baseball movie. It's a cheesy baseball movie. There's Kevin Costner in it. He builds a baseball field because a voice in his head tells him to. But I didn't remember that the movie was this clumsy, where the movie just starts with Kevin Costner walking into the cornfield and hearing the voice. There is no build-up to it. He just hears the voice and then goes straight to work. Like, a voice tells him, build a baseball field. It doesn't say that literally, but basically what he figures out. And then he just starts building the baseball field out of nothing. And his wife is supportive of him. What kind of a fantasy movie is this? What kind of a wife would be supportive in that situation? It's weird. It's strange. It's awful at times. It's also kind of funny. I guess the best part of the movie is when Darth Vader shows up. What is the name of the actor? It says James Earl Jones. Like, he shows up and he's a sports reporter, and Kevin Costner wants him to come back to his ghost baseball field to see what is going on with Ray Liotta and all of the other old-timey ball players smacking a baseball around. And James Earl Jones just, wants to kill Kevin Costner. That's a really fun bit. So yeah, it does have some funny moments. It is an enjoyable watch. It's kind of a guilty pleasure movie, I guess. But yeah, if you genuinely enjoy Field of Dreams as a good movie, like, check yourself, mate. No way. Right. Jumping into a good movie, probably one of the best ones here so far, is Hexan. I finally watched this gorgeous limited edition by Radiance Films. The artwork is just fabulous. Yeah, I watched this for the first time. It is kind of a pseudo documentary about witchcraft, Made in 1922, I think. Yeah, 1922. It's a silent movie. Not really a black and white silent movie. It has many colors. It has reds in it. It has blues in it. So very colorful for a silent movie. And it is pretty damn good. I think I gave it originally a strong 8 out of 10, just because I think there are some portions in it that are kind of underwhelming, especially the final portion. It's split into these 7 episodes that there is kind of a continuation between from one to the other, but not really. In many of the episodes, it ends abruptly with "to be continued," and then it's never continued. So you have these abrupt endings, and then you go into a different part where the director is talking about some other aspect of witchcraft. So obviously there is the witch trials and all these awful torture methods that were used to torture these women who were suspected of being witches. And that's all covered, and the burning on the stake and everything. There isn't really an impressive burning on the stake scene in the movie, which is maybe a bit of a disappointment to some people if you are into that sort of content. Definitely not as graphic as something like Witchfinder General, but it's from 1922. And for 1922, this movie is such an insane accomplishment. It looks incredible. The cinematography and all of the visuals, all of these like reimagined scenes of these old-timey people torturing one another, and these sort of scenes where the devil appears, like the actual devil appears in front of people and everything. It's really well made, looks good. So yeah, I could probably, if I rewatch it, I'm probably going to raise my original score of a high 8 to a 9. But yeah, the last episode I thought was really out of place, where they jump into modern times, or what was modern times in 1922, and they go out of the witch portion into these modern times with this woman who is like stealing jewelry or whatever. I thought that the ending part of the documentary was by far the weakest of it, so I can't really give it a higher score than the high 8, low 9. But yeah, Hexan, I'm really glad I have this limited edition. It's fantastic. So yeah, there you go. Got that watched just in time before the this year's October Radiance movies are released. Right. Should I change? I guess I'll change the order around a little bit, because the second stack I have here is all Japanese movies, basically. So I guess I'll swap these around a little bit, and I'll talk about. I guess I'll talk really quickly about this one. This was also in a collection update video. This is the Infernal Rapist, which has just one of the, at the same time, funniest and most outrageous titles ever for a movie. Yeah, I talked about this in a collection update, and I said that it's like not very, very good. It's kind of disappointing, and that's always the case with movies like this, with names like this. They are never as interesting or as outrageous as it says on a title. You know, movies like Killer Condoms. I haven't seen it, but I've heard that it's awful. Like other movies that have really outrageous titles, like the Japanese movies, like Entrails of a Virgin and this sort of thing. They are never as extreme as it sounds, and they are never as exciting as it sounds, and they are never like any problem. Usually they aren't even any good. Infernal Rapist, I thought was fine. I'd give it a 5 out of 10. And that's mainly because it has one insanely well-made special effects sequence near the end of the movie. It's the last scene. I briefly mentioned this before, but I'll talk about it in more detail here. So I talked about this in the collection update video. But there is this final scene where the main character is killing a woman, or trying to kill a woman, after having his way with her. And like the whole house is just destroyed in that sequence. Some insane special effects with just, every piece of furniture and glass bottles and everything flying around. The woman getting like ragdolled around the house, like thrown around in the stairwell, picked up from the ground seemingly by the sheer power of the main character's will, and just thrown around. It's really well made, and it's a fantastic sequence for anyone who's into practical special effects. It looks really nice. But other than that, the movie is just kind of boring, unfortunately. So yeah, so that's me again talking about Infernal Rapist. Maybe in the future I won't include the same movies here that were already in collection updates, but I have to think on that, because I don't really have much more to say about them, really, and they are usually not the good ones either. Right. So yeah, moving on to something else. This is Children of the Corn. I watched the second and the third movies. These are from the Arrow limited edition, but I've already seen the first one, so I watched the second and third for the first time. I've never been a fan of the series. I think the first movie is pretty bad. I think I remember giving it a 4 out of 10. For some people, it's kind of a fondly remembered childhood horror movie. A lot of people saw this as kids, and I remember watching the first movie as a kid. I saw it, I guess, when I was like 15 or 16 years old for the first time. I didn't even like it then. I rewatched it, I guess, late last year, and didn't really enjoy it. I think the second and third movies are better than the first one, to be honest. This is a direct continuation from the story of the first movie. So these kids have killed every adult in the town because a corn demon told them to. And it's based on Stephen King's story, Children of the Corn. I can't remember if it's the same title. It probably is, but I just can't remember for certain. I may be wrong about that, but yeah. Anyway, a story by Stephen King, and yeah, these are fondly remembered 80s horror movies. I guess these are all from the 1980s. This is from when was this released? It doesn't have the release year here on the back. That's awful. It only has the release year for the Blu-ray set, but anyway, doesn't really matter. Yeah, this is a direct continuation from the story of the first movie. People are trying to figure out what happened in this town where the adults were killed. A bunch of the kids get repositioned into foster homes, and they kind of continue their killing spree. They regroup under a new leader. There are also some returning characters from the first movie, but I think they all have different actors. Or at least most of them have different actors. So it's kind of difficult to sometimes remember which person is which from the first movie, because they look so different, but they have the same names. Yeah, this stack is like a collection of 5 out of 10 movies. Like, I would give this a 5 out of 10 as well as the third movie. All of these 5 out of 10s for me. They have some nice effects in them. Again, I appreciate horror movies with practical effects in them. So there are some nice special effects in them, especially in the third one, where you have in this one they relocate to, where was this? Chicago, some large town, and these adopted kids they grow a. Yeah, this is the movie where the kids are relocated into new families. They build a cornfield in the middle of Chicago in this abandoned industrial area. And it's so stupid. And there's this final showdown in the industrial area, in the cornfield, with this just giant plastic puppet monster, corn monster. It looks ridiculous, but also kind of cool. I really appreciate the effort there. This one also has some really fun killing scenes. There's a scene where a woman falls down on a metal pipe, and her mouth becomes a water faucet, like ridiculous stuff. And there's also a really fun special feature on this Blu-ray where the script writer talks about his memories, writing the script for the movie and trying to come up with just more and more outrageous ways to kill off the adults and everything like that. Outdo the other movies. So this is probably my favorite of the 3 Children of the Corn movies I've seen so far. I don't know if I will ever watch more of them. There are tons of them, probably close to 10 at this point. And yeah, I guess 3 is enough for me for Children of the Corn. Right, then let's jump into the Japanese stuff. This is much better. So I watched a bunch of Japanese movies. First of all, I rewatched one of my favorites from the 2000s. This is all about Lily Shushu, or Choo Choo, however you want to pronounce it. Directed by Shunji Iwai, a director whose movies unfortunately don't have that many Blu-rays. There should be more of them out. Why aren't there more of them? I guess quite recently there was a release. What's the Korean Blu-ray box? Or some Asian Blu-ray box for Shunji Iwai's movies. Movies around this, so some earlier than this one and some after this. This is from 2001, I think. Yeah, 2001. So yeah, there is a box set that has also English subtitles in it. Maybe I should get that one. I'm kind of waiting for these to get UK releases, so I can get proper UK Blu-rays for this. But yeah, this is an American release that is region free. This was distributed by Vinegar Syndrome, by one of their partner labels, Film Movement Classics or whatever. Yeah. So yeah, I rewatched this. This is just a fantastic movie. If you want to see a dark and just really, really dark teenage coming of age movie, this one is a great choice. It deals with these young boys who are into this artist Lily Shushu and her music, and they are kind of in this old school online chat group where they talk about the artist and whatever, and they don't often know each other, that they are like who they are in the real world outside of the internet, but some of them happen to be in the same classroom and so on. There's a bunch of bullying going on, and it's just a really, really dark, again, to reiterate that, dark and kind of sad movie. Incredibly sad movie. It's 2 hours and 30 minutes long as well, or long one. Definitely worth checking out. Again, a movie that I'm trying to figure out how to not spoil it because there are some scenes there that are devastating, right? So I don't want to spoil anything. I also have the soundtrack CD, so I bought this in Japan when I was there in probably, what was it, 2016, 2017? Yeah, this cost like 100 yen, 200 yen, so like €1. Really good stuff. It's one of the best parts about the movie is the mysterious Lily Shushu pop artist character and her music. It's everywhere in the movie. It's great. Right. I also watched this Arrow set with 2 movies. So A Certain Killer and A Killer's Key. Directed by Kazuo Mori. Kazuo Mori, oh yeah, all about Lily Shushu, strong 9 out of 10. Love it. Kazuo Mori, I think at this point I've seen, there's one more by him coming up in this video. I've seen a bunch of his movies and they are always kind of dull. And so he's like a B-tier genre movie director from Japan. It's kind of funny to me how whenever Arrow or whoever releases these sort of 1960s studio gangster movies from Japan, people get really excited that they're going to find some hidden gem from Japan, some exotic hidden gem, where in reality, like, these are just, conveyor belt, mass produced, run of the mill generic gangster movies. Like, they made hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these in Japan in the 1960s and also the 1970s. So whenever a set like this is announced, yeah, I'll get it because I want to see the movies for the first time, but I already go into them knowing that it's not going to be fantastic. And I think both of these movies are like, they are in the 6 out of 10 range. They are fine. They are passable. Like, they are watchable. There's no reason not to watch them. They have great poster art. So these are two kind of assassin movies where you have Raizo Ichikawa, an actor that doesn't really have that high of a profile in the West. It's mainly probably because he died quite young. He died before he turned even 40. These are actually some of his last movies. So he died in the late 1960s, and these are from, I think, 1967. Yeah, both of these are from 1967. So from that, you should already kind of know what you're getting here. These are mass-produced conveyor belt gangster movies. Really short, really generic, done with a small budget, with a really quick shooting schedule. So you aren't going to get a masterpiece here. Like, it's not possible for this to be some sort of a masterpiece, even given the circumstances. But yeah, Raizo Ichikawa is a master assassin. In the first movie, I guess I prefer the second movie, A Killer's Key, more because it's more fast-paced. In the first movie, it's kind of slow-moving, and Raizo, well, he is hired to kill someone, and then he plans out the attack, and then he executes it, and surprise, surprise, then the people who hired him are trying to double-cross him, and you know the drill. It's like, you've seen this movie 100 times if you watch gangster movies or action movies before. But it's fine, I guess. The second movie I liked better. It has this female character in it who is kind of annoying, but also kind of charming at the same time, constantly harassing Raizo, and he kind of takes under his wing these people, which turns up to be a mistake, really. Surprise, surprise. But yeah, The Killer's Key, it's more fast-paced, it has some fun action scenes in it, and a strong ending as well. I'm not going to spoil it, but yeah, these are just 6 out of 10 movies for me. Nothing special. I did enjoy watching them. Wasn't a waste of time. Another Japanese movie released by Arrow quite recently is Play It Cool by Yasuzo Masumura. They've released a bunch of his movies. This is nowhere near my favorite of the ones that they've released. So what have they released? I'll have to check on my right. They've released... what did they release? Why can't I find them with my eyes? They released Irezumi, I think. Yeah, Giants and Toys as well. And just a bunch of Masumura movies. Blind Beast, I guess, is also one of his, isn't it? Yes. So this is another one of Masumura's movies that Arrow has released. That's pretty good. I did enjoy it. I think it's like a strong 7 out of 10. It is a pink movie, so it has some softcore sex scenes in it. Actually, quite a bit of this. And like a typical Japanese 1970s, 1960s genre movie, it starts with a female getting sexually assaulted. So you immediately get that. But then the mother of the woman kills the guy who assaulted his or her daughter, and that's kind of the crux of the whole movie. This young woman then ends up working as a hostess in a hostess bar, and has all kinds of awful relationships with men, and meanwhile her mother is in jail for having killed the assaulter, the guy who assaulted her. It's an interesting movie. It's definitely one of the better pink movies I've seen. I don't often enjoy movies from this genre very much because they are just filled with the most boring softcore sex scenes imaginable. Like there is nothing interesting to me about these people, doing these sex scenes in these movies, really. But yeah, but here there's a reason for them, and they are kind of well directed. It's a Masumura movie. He's a good director. Also, this has really nice cover art. Also, the other artwork here looks good. So yeah, I'd give this a strong 7 out of 10. It's a good watch. Some more Japanese stuff. Another pink movie, one that I think is probably one of the best in the genre ever made. This is Love Hotel by Shinji Somai, best known as the director of Typhoon Club, which is a fantastic 80s movie. Shinji Somai is one of the few 1980s Japanese directors who consistently did good work during that decade. It's kind of a dull decade for Japanese movies, but Shinji Somai is a really, really fantastic director. And yeah, this is a pink movie. It's also kind of a Yakuza movie. And yeah, it's about this taxi driver person who has kind of a twisted relationship with a prostitute. You can read from the back cover if you want to know more about the story. I don't want to spoil anything about it, but Somai is so good with cinematography and so good with building these kind of haunting tales of these young people, basically, like this young woman who works as a prostitute here. Very interesting character, and the old guy who ends up becoming a taxi driver and hates his life. Really interesting characters, and this combination of these different characters, different personalities from different generations. Really interesting stuff. So I'd give Love Hotel a high 8 out of 10. Definitely a movie to watch if you're into Japanese art house cinema. Another really good one is the documentary The Emperor's Naked Army Marches On. So I've been watching a bunch of Japanese movies from my backlog now because I was asked by a person in a comment about what my favorite directors are from Japan. So I'll do a video on that in probably next month or something like that. So I've been watching a bunch of these Japanese movies that are in my backlog by various different directors. So this is again one of them by Kazuo Hara. So this is a documentary on this guy on the cover, this World War veteran who is very much against the emperor and thinks that the emperor should get punished in some way for the atrocities during the Second World War. And he goes on to interview people who were in the Pacific during the Second World War and trying to figure out what happened to this what happened in this event when a bunch of young Japanese soldiers were executed by other Japanese soldiers. And he interviews people who know about that situation, who were there during that time, who may have been involved in the event, and so on. So the movie starts with this sort of a generic, not generic, this overall look at the life of this guy who is Kenjo Okuzaki, what he has done previously. He's an activist. He follows his sort of activist stuff. He has been in prison. He's a convicted murderer, for example. So he has done some heinous stuff, and he's just mental in this movie. It is incredible to watch how far he goes. Like, there are scenes in this movie where he is he's interviewing a person and then just attacks them, just starts fighting with the person he's interviewing, and police are called and everything. So the movie starts with this sort of overall view of who this guy is and what his history is, and then it develops into this closer look at this one event during the Second World War and trying to figure out what happened. It's a very interesting documentary. Some of the scenes I kind of question how authentic they are, because there is a lot of cutting here. The interviews are not just, people talking. They are cut like a movie. So I don't necessarily buy everything that is presented here, but it's an interesting watch and just a crazy movie. It's a 2-hour long documentary. It just flies by. So I'd give it a low 9, high 8. One of the better documentaries I've seen recently. Another really good movie that I watched is The Funeral by Yuzo Itami, a director who did this one and Tampopo. These are the only two I think I've seen by him so far. Really fantastic family drama movie about a funeral. Surprise, surprise. So a person dies and the family plan the funeral, have the funeral, and then that's the movie basically. It sounds boring, but this is also a comedy. So it's a very low-key comedy. It's not a straight up like a slapstick comedy or really outrageous over-the-top comedy. It's a very subdued and quiet kind of comedy where you kind of have to be in a right mood set to even get it. I could see many people not enjoying this really much because it is a very specific style of slow building family drama with some subtle comedy in it. But yeah, it's a great release by Criterion. Again, looks great. Itami was unfortunately, again, like Raizo Ichikawa, one of the people in the Japanese film industry who died quite young. And well, in this case, he died probably because the Yakuza threw him off a building. It's not like I don't know if it has ever been confirmed, but that's what people kind of assume happened. So yeah, he pissed off a bunch of Yakuza and they threw him off a building. But luckily he managed to make a bunch of really good movies before he died that we can remember him by. So yeah, The Funeral is just, fantastic. Also, the disc art. Oh, it's so good. And the booklet itself as well. Really, really good stuff. So nice release by Criterion. I would give The Funeral a solid 9 out of 10. It's not really my favorite. I prefer Tampopo over this because Tampopo is such a unique style of movie, kind of a Western comedy with ramen cooking in it. It's strange. So I appreciate the oddball quality of Tampopo more than the more subdued style of The Funeral, but they are definitely both high recommendations from me, right? I also watched Nagisa Oshima's Cruel Story of Youth, partly in preparation for the Radiance Films box set that is going to be released in November, that has 7 of Oshima's movies in it. Also, I don't know why, but Radiance don't use the proper spelling, so it's Oshima with the long O sound. They don't have that in the box set, or at least the materials that are currently out there, the promotional materials for it. I don't know why they would do that, but okay. So yeah, Cruel Story of Youth. I would give it an 8 out of 10. It is a cruel movie to watch, definitely. The title is fitting. Like, I mean, if your Blu-ray has the cover art as a man punching a woman in the face, then yeah, you kind of know there what you're getting into. So the guy here is the worst man in Japan, but for some reason women are all enamored by him, and he's just an awful person, just abusing both physically and mentally this young woman who is madly in love with him. and he just abuses that love for all the wrong reasons. And yeah, it's kind of a historical movie as well, because it takes place during the 1960s, or the it's late 1950s, so it's a bit before the really big student protests. But it also takes place during the student protests of the late 1950s, so there's real footage here that was shot during actual protest marches, which is kind of interesting. And there's this sort of political, I don't want to spoil anything about the movie, but there is this clear political underlining, let's say, on the story itself, and what Oshima wants to say with the movie. So it's an interesting watch. I'm kind of looking forward to the box set. The other movies I've seen so far by Oshima are mentioned here on the back: In the Realm of the Senses and Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence. I didn't particularly enjoy those two. Not really at all. I thought Merry Christmas, Mr. Lawrence was very cheesy. It has great music. And in the Realm of the Senses is just a porno movie with great cinematography. But yeah, Cruel Story of Youth, really good stuff. So I'd give it a strong 8 out of 10. And then to finish off, I have 2 box sets here. I watched the second and the third movies from the Radiance Shinobi box set. So I've seen the first movie. I watched it when the box set came out, so that's probably last year during the summer or something like that. But I just now watched the sequels, and I kind of enjoyed them. So these are ninja movies. They look a lot like samurai movies. So if you watch samurai movies from the 1950s and 60s, you kind of know what to expect. But it's just with ninjas and like ninja gadgets, like ninjas jumping around and disappearing into smoke bombs and whatever, this sort of thing, throwing around what are they called, like the metal spike things. The word starts with a C, I think. I can't remember the word off the top of my head. Like cold, I don't know, something like that. So yeah, just ninja stuff going on. The second movie is a straight continuation from the story of the first movie. So I don't want to spoil the first movie, but in the first movie there is a lot of tension between a certain group of ninjas and Oda Nobunaga. So there's a bunch of real historical figures in these movies and in these stories. So Oda Nobunaga kind of works to destroy a band of ninjas. And in the second movie, as you can tell from the title, Revenge, the ninjas, the remaining ninjas are taking revenge on Oda Nobunaga, and they are using all kinds of tricks to try to accomplish this mission. And what is the name of the? Oh my god! There is another, there are real historical events in these movies. I guess the big one in the second movie, if I remember correctly, is that it has the rebellion in it, where, what is the name of the guy? It's Matsuhide. It's Akeuchi Matsuhide, something like that. It's one of the people under Oda Nobunaga who rebels, and that event is a big part of this movie, which is really interesting and fantastic. I like the real kind of alternate history angle that they took with these movies, where they have these real characters and some to some degree real events from the past, and then they put this fictional stuff into it. It's kind of interesting. So yeah, I think I gave the original Shinobi, the first one, an 8 out of 10. I think the second one is on par with the first one. It's at that same level. Now the third movie is kind of ridiculous. It's called Resurrection. It's not directed by the same guy, because it's directed by Kazuo Mori, who also did a certain Killer and Killer's Key. So you know that you're in for some not as good stuff. In comparison to the ones directed by Yamamoto, so the first and second one. And the third movie is it's a movie that shouldn't exist, because this was originally meant to be a 2-part story, with the series ending in the second movie. But they wanted to make it into a series because it was popular, so they revived the main character, who is the Raizo Ichikawa, the actor, also the main actor in these movies. And it's kind of a bullshit story where the main guy shouldn't really be there at this point, no spoilers, but he somehow manages to escape getting killed, getting executed, basically. And yeah, it's more ninja stuff. It's all right. It's kind of fun. It's probably the best Kazuo Mori movie I've seen. I'd give it a solid 7 out of 10. It's more shinobi. I guess I don't remember much about the movie, to be honest. Unfortunately, I still remember the first movie quite clearly, although it's like a year ago I saw it. With Oda Nobunaga and his royal cat, and like it's really fun, the original movie, and I really like the second movie as well. But the third one is just kind of whatever, right? And then I also watched, to finish off, again over an hour long video. I was kind of hoping this would be shorter, but it wasn't. Maybe I don't know. I think 30 movies for one video is pretty good. Otherwise, I will fall behind when recording this quite badly. Right. I also watched the Bounty Hunter trilogy, which has 3 movies in this these are samurai movies, but also heavily inspired by westerns. So you have this Western sensibility to them, and I enjoyed these quite a bit. So these feature the great actor Tomisaburo Wakayama, who later became a star for his portrayal of the main character in Lone Wolf and Cub. And he is a fun actor. He really brings it here into these movies. So these are movies where, well, it's called the Bounty Hunter trilogy. So Tomisaburo Wakayama's character is kind of a bounty hunter. In the first movie, he isn't as clearly a bounty hunter as he is in the other ones. But yeah, these are movies where samurai stuff happens. These are samurai movies from the 1960s, early 1970s, and that's exactly what you're going to get. These are more in the vein of something like, where is the title? More in a vein of Samurai Wolf, I would say. So these are really kind of fast-paced, action-oriented, very entertainment-heavy samurai movies. So these aren't the sort of Akira Kurosawa slow builder samurai movies with really ponderous content. These are just entertainment, like westerns. So you have just massive sword fights. I think is it the second movie? The first movie and the third movie are directed by the same guy, Shigehiro Ozawa. The second movie is by a different director, The Force of Death. And The Force of Death is a good example of what I mean when it comes to this sort of entertainment angle. It's basically Tomisaburo Wakayama just annoying people for an hour and 30 minutes, and then there is a machine gun that he uses, one of the old-timey machine guns where you have this like crank and you kind of turn the crank to fire the gun, and he is just massacring people, dozens and dozens and dozens of people with this early machine gun. It is really enjoyable, really entertaining. Are these great movies? Not necessarily, but they are really fun, really enjoyable. So if you are into this sort of more of a pulp style when it comes to Japanese movies, just Japanese genre movies, then yeah. The director of the first and third movie is the guy who directed the Street Fighter series with Sonny Chiba in them. So that's kind of the caliber of movie that you get here. I would rate these higher than Street Fighter. I don't think the Street Fighter movies are particularly really not my thing. But yeah, these ones are really fun. So I'd give, I guess, I'd give like the first movie an 8 out of 10, and the other two like a 7 out of 10. They are just fun. These are also heavily inspired by James Bond. So you have a bunch of these weird gadgets. There's this hidden tiny pistol that the character uses, and just all kinds of weird stuff. So if you are looking for fun genre movies from Japan, the Bounty Hunter trilogy is definitely a good choice. Kind of like westerns, kind of like James Bond spy movies, and then you have just all out mayhem in the action scenes. It's fun. Right, and to end the video, I have kind of a lightning round here of 6 movies that I don't have physical copies of. So to end the video, I'll just talk a little bit about this. So I watched Rope from 1948, directed by Alfred Hitchcock. It's one of his thrillers. It's a movie about these 2 men who are trying to get away with murder. They have this house party that they are holding, and the person that they killed is there at the house party in a chest in the middle of the apartment. It's quite interesting. It's nowhere near my favorite Hitchcock's, but it's an interesting concept, and especially for this movie that's mainly in one room and all set in one apartment, and it has really, really long takes as well. It's only a couple of takes the entirety of the movie. For that, it's an interesting experiment. So I would give it a like a low 8 out of 10, high 7 out of 10. It's an interesting and fun movie. I also rewatched Wild Strawberries by Ingmar Bergman again for maybe the 3rd or the 4th time. It's one of my all-time favorite movies. It's a really enjoyable, depressing summer movie about this elderly man played by Victor Sjöström, who is a great director from way back in the day. He directed The Phantom Carriage, the silent horror movie, for example. And he plays this elderly man who goes on a road trip. And while he's on the road trip, he meets all kinds of strange people and relives moments from his childhood in this kind of daydream sequences where he is there in the place where the things happened, and he sees the people from the past, and he is like there in the scenes with the people from the past. It's kind of interesting. So yeah, Wild Strawberries, just an all-time classic, 10 out of 10. There are very few movies I would rate higher than this. I also watched for the first time Ingmar Bergman's Virgin Spring, which is a kind of a historical drama. Takes place, I actually don't know exactly when it takes place, probably in the late 1800s, early 1900s, somewhere around that time. It's in a Swedish countryside. There's this guy who owns land and a farm and things like this. It's kind of difficult to tell what decade exactly we're working with here. It could even be earlier than the late 1800s. But anyway, there's this daughter in a family who goes on horseback to church, and she gets assaulted on the way to church and killed by bandits. And then the rest of the movie is the kind of family figuring out what happened and the bandits trying to get away with the crime. And this, so it has very interesting religious themes in it. With the main guy, the head of the family, is played by Max von Sydow, who is one of the all-time greatest European actors, and he is incredible here. So he has this dilemma with God. Why would God allow this sort of thing to happen to him and his family? Because he's a good Christian, and so on and so on and so on. It's very interesting. Another 10 out of 10. It's really good. It looks a lot like an Akira Kurosawa movie, and when I was watching it, I thought that. And then after I had watched it, I read an interview where it was stated that Ingmar Bergman wanted to make Virgin Spring to be like his Akira Kurosawa movie. And you can easily see that. It looks a lot like the black and white samurai movies that Kurosawa did, like Seven Samurai and Rashomon and this sort of thing. It looks great. I also watched the German movie The Lives of Others. I rewatched that. I've seen it a long time ago. It's generally thought of as one of the greatest 2000s movies, at least from Europe. And yeah, it's really good. It's a historical drama. Again, a historical drama about the sort of secret police in East Germany when Germany was West Germany, East Germany after the Second World War. It's about spies, people spying on artists and this sort of thing. It's very, very well executed and interesting. So like a solid 9 out of 10 for me. I also watched the 1980s war movie Hamburger Hill, which is a Vietnam movie. It was recommended to me by someone who said that it was underrated. I didn't really think that the movie was underrated. There's many reasons why it has been kind of forgotten. It's a war movie where all of the actors, except for Don Cheadle and one other actor, I don't even remember what the name of the other actor is. He's the guy who plays the medic. I don't think I've seen him in any other movie. It's the other black guy. So the two black actors, Don Cheadle and the other guy, they are really good. All of the other actors are awful. They have no charisma, no personality whatsoever. They're just, like even for just random men, they are underwhelming. Like I don't understand why these people have been cast in the movie, but whatever. And then it's just it has really impressive action scenes, and that's that. There's nothing really much else to say about it. Really strong action scenes and a couple of great African American actors, and that's that. So like a 6 out of 10 for me, Hamburger Hill. And then to finish off, a movie that no one listening to this has seen. This is one of the worst movies I've ever seen. Like a solid 1 out of 10. Awful movie. It is the Finnish comedy movie Pekka ja Pätkä ja Tuplajättipotti, which is directed by the grandfather of Finnish garbage, Visa Mäkinen. I'll probably edit the title of the movie on the screen. I don't think there's probably no release for this with English subtitles. I hope there isn't, because I don't want anyone to watch this movie. It's one of the worst movies I've ever watched. It is amateurish, like all Visa Mäkinen movies. They don't have proper lighting. They don't have professional actors. They don't really even have a proper script. Everything about the movie is amateurish and annoying and just difficult. It's difficult to even get through it. It's really bad. It's the 5th Visa Mäkinen movie I've seen now, and it is by far the worst of them. So do yourself a favor and do not watch Tuplajättipotti. It's really, really, really awful. But I just wanted to mention it here. If there is some connoisseur here who is interested in watching the worst movies ever created, if you can find a copy of this with English subtitles, you're going to suffer. So have a good time. Right. So that's the movies that I watched recently for this episode. I ran even longer this time than the first one, but well, whatever. It is what it is. So thanks for listening if anyone listened to the end, and I'll see you next time. Bye.